This is a story from when I was 18 years old. I ended up meeting this couple and they attempted to do God knows what with me. I escaped. I'm still here. I will leave that for y'all to determine what y'all think that they had in mind for me. So, me and my best friend Kenny had another friend. We're just going to call her Bella. Bella was turning 26. Me and Kenny were both 18. Bella got a room at the casino for her 26th birthday. Me and Bella went with her. I'm sorry, me and Kenny went with her. Me and Kenny were, like I said, both 18, so we could not go on the casino floor with Bella. So while Bella was down there gambling, me and Kenny proceeded to just like walk around, look at, gift shops, just walk around and look pretty, basically. So this very nice looking couple ends up passing us by, coming up on us. And they come up to me. Y'all, mind you, the girl was gorgeous. The type of gorgeous, the type of beautiful you didn't see around here, especially back then. She was stunningly beautiful. So the guy was very nice looking, put together himself. And they were just like, oh my gosh, you look like so-and-so. You're so beautiful. You need to be a model, just going on and on. I'm like, thank you. They proceeded to invite me and Kenny up to their hotel room to smoke and have a few drinks. I was never a smoker, but I did go up there. Me and Kenny both went up there and we had some drinks with them. Anyway, they started asking me all of these questions, just a ton of questions. And in my young mind, I thought they were just trying to get to know me. They found out, upon asking where my dad was, they found out that he was in prison. He had been in prison for a long time and he was going to be in there for a lot more time at that time. They found out that my mom lived 4.5 hours away. They were just finding all this stuff out, that I did not have a good living situation. Same with Kenny. Me and her lived together at the time. And anyways, y'all, after that, we ended up riding around with this couple. We're going to call them Bill and Ashley. We went riding with Bill and Ashley. And Bill was like, you know what? Since your living situation is what it was, I was on the verge of homelessness. Like I was saying, y'all, Bill was like, oh, you should come down to Atlanta and stay with me and Ashley. I have a recording studio. I own a modeling agency. You're going to be the next big thing. I'm going to make you famous. Like, you got what it takes. Y'all just hyping me up. Even at my young age, and even though I was in a bad situation, I was still blessed with discernment. And I had been through a lot of shit already. So I was like, never gonna happen. But, the night went on. We ended up linking back up with Bella, and we did give the couple our contact. So about a week after that interaction, we ended up losing our apartment. And we had nowhere to go. So Ken was like, why don't you call Bill and Ashley? And I was like, girl, no, like, fuck, like, we don't even know them. Like, they could be on anything. She was like, girl, they was cool. Like, and I was like, yeah, they was cool, but I felt it, that I shouldn't have done it. But we contacted them and we're like, hey, we're ready. And Bill says, your friend can't come. You can come. Your friend can't come. And he was like, I'll send your ticket, whatever, but your friend can't come. And I was like, listen, this is the deal. If she don't come, I don't come. And he was like, oh, okay, she can come. So, and it's nothing against Kenny. He just was on some other shit, You know what I'm saying? He didn't want us two working our brains together, you know, whatever the reason was. A couple days passed, y'all. We arrive in Atlanta. When we get into Atlanta, they had this amazing condo. It was in Buckhead. I mean, it was absolutely beautiful. And you know, back then, baby, we from Mississippi. I ain't never been past probably Florida back then. This was just phenomenal to me. And guess what? It was right before Christmas, about this same time. Anyway, so I'm like, okay, you know, when are we gonna start doing, you know, what you promised me before we got, you know, before coming, you know? And he was like, oh, I'm gonna take you to the modeling agency tomorrow. All right, y'all, listen up. I'm on break right now, and I just wanted to put this out there that I have not shared this story with barely anyone, including close family. I'm simply putting this out here to spread awareness, to hopefully save someone else, and to show y'all signs to look for. So if you have nothing nice to say, maybe say nothing at all. You feel me? Because my stories are very genuine, they're very real, and you don't find that very much these days. So yeah, part 2 will be coming soon. Love y'all. Okay, this is part 2 of when I was 18 years old and I moved to Atlanta with a couple that I barely knew, along with my best friend, and they tried to do God knows what with me. I still don't know what they were gonna do with me because I escaped, but I'm gonna leave that for you guys to judge in the last story time. So the next day came. Ashley was not there. She was gone like 95% of the time. I didn't know where she was going at that time. So Bill takes me out on the town. Like, he's showing me around. He takes me to this super nice restaurant in Buckhead. I ate some duck for the first time. My country ass ain't never had no duck at that time, so I'm feeling like damn Beyonce or somebody, y'all. But anyway, so after that, we were just like riding around. He was showing me around the town, and then we ended up going to a Waffle House. And I know this is kind of irrelevant, but I never forgot this for some reason. The waitress inside the Waffle House, Bill was getting coffee. The waitress inside the Waffle House came up to, and she was just like, "You're pretty," and she was like, "Your accent," y'all, my accent always a dead giveaway. And I was just telling her where I was from, and Bill just butts in, just like shuts me the up. And he's like, yeah, she's down here with me. I brought her down here. I'm about to make her famous. She about to be seeing her everywhere. Like, she's about to be the next big thing. I own the recording studio. I own a modeling agency. And the girl was like, oh my gosh, well, I can sing. You know, like, she's getting excited. She thinks that she's in front of damn Puff Dit or somebody. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, his ass wasn't none of that. But, and he kind of just like disregarded her after that. And she awkwardly walked away. Okay. So we end up going back to the condo. Mind you, my best friend was staying at the condo the entire time that we were in Atlanta. She just stayed there, smoked a grade A gas, ate good, and, you know, feet kicked up. So we got back there. I went into the room that I was, you know, staying in, and I laid down, and Bill comes in and tries to have sex with me. And I was like, oh, hell no. Because first of all, what about Ashley? Secondly, Bill was like 38 at the time. And you know, when you're 18, that is like fucking ancient. You know what I'm saying? So one thing I can say, I have zero respect for this guy. But when I told him no, he got the fuck on down, and he didn't ever try again after that. So I do give his nasty. So like I was saying, I do give his nasty behind that. He left me alone after that. So the next day comes, we all wake up, and everything's just kind of awkward. And he takes us out to Piccadilly's. And he let my best friend and Ashley just order whatever they wanted to order, and he would not let me order anything that I wanted. He picked my food. This man was feeding me a fucking rabbit diet. Like, he was making me eat what he picked out. Like, it was so weird. And this happened the whole time, y'all. Every day after that, we went to Piccadilly's, and he would not let me eat what I wanted to eat. He was picking out my food. That is so weird, and I still just don't quite understand that. Like, it was so weird. So anyways, y'all, the day I'm questioning him, like, hey, like, it's getting to the point, like, what's going on? Like, what's going on? And my mom was begging me to get the hell away from there. She had a boyfriend I absolutely despised at the time, and he was even telling me, Zay, please get from down there. Like, and I mean, if he said it, you know, it was something. Anyways, y'all, so this day comes, and he's like, okay, well, today is the day. And he took me on this big shopping trip. He told me he was going to be taking me to his modeling agency. He took me on this huge shopping trip. But here's the catch. I couldn't pick out anything. He was picking out everything. And it was things that I would never even look at. Like, very inappropriate clothing. And I was like, okay, I mean, maybe this is the look that he is trying to use me for in the modeling, but I had no say-so with this man. Like, and at this point, I'm knowing something's wrong. So after we leave the shopping trip, he has this big duffel bag type thing in the bag. He puts everything he purchased for me into that duffel bag, and he pulls up at a strip club and tells me to get out. Tells me to get out. And I'm like, what? Like, what? Like, what? Like, what am I gonna, what? Like, what am I gonna do in there? Like, I was scared. I was so scared. Like, what am I gonna do in there? I've never done anything like this in my life. I was not prepared for this. I was not informed of this. And he was like, well, this is what. So y'all, like I was saying, he was like, this is what you're going to have to do until you make it with your modeling stuff. You got to make money while you're down here. As far as your friend goes, you're the one who said that y'all were a package deal. I mean, y'all, I was terrified. But it gets so much worse to the point to where this club felt like Disneyland compared to what these two people, these partners in crime, were really doing. Like, for real, what they really had going on. But yeah, so y'all, I went in with my bag, and they like hired me on the spot. They didn't even give up to know my name. It was insane. Mind you, my motherfucking ass couldn't dance. I'ma just stand there and look pretty. But I don't know, y'all. It goes so much deeper than this, and I'm gonna end it here. And gets crazier. So, yeah, love y'all. Part 3 of when I was 18 years old and I was tricked into moving to Atlanta by a couple that I hardly knew under false pretense. So boom, where we left off was Bill dropping me off at the S Club. So as soon as my feet hit that concrete getting out of that man's car, I knew one thing, that I was getting the hell away from him and Ashley. Keep this in mind because this next part is very important. The whole time I was down there, I kept in contact with my friend from Mississippi that dropped me and Kenny off at the bus stop. I kept him posted on everything that was going on. When Bill dropped me off at that club, I wrote him and told him what he had done. And I told him, I was like, he does not have a modeling agency. He does not have a recording studio. I don't know who the hell he is. I don't know who the hell Ashley is. But I've got to get away from these people. He wanted to try to come down there and get me and Kenny, but he couldn't take that risk. Like, that man was freaking crazy. So anyway, just keep that in mind. So for the next 2.5 weeks, my daily routine consisted of eating like a effing rabbit. I literally ate lettuce the entire time I was there. I don't even know why. Body tea. So yeah, just weird. But and watched everybody else eat whatever they wanted in my face. But anyway, so one day, and like, and I was going to that club during the day, and he was taking me to another club at night every single day for the next 2 to 2.5 weeks. So one day, Bill and Ashley come in, and they like, y'all pack y'all's bags. We're going to Miami. I'm sorry, y'all. It's been a long day. They told us to pack our bags, that we were going to Miami. They had Bill's daughter with them. She was 10 years old. And he also said that we were going to be stopping in Mississippi because he had to meet his baby mom at a checkpoint. Them bringing that little girl is what ultimately saved my life. And y'all will soon know why. And she's fine. She went with her mother. She was completely fine. So the next day came. Me and Kenny were completely packed. And the entire day, Bill and Ashley were gone. So when they were gone, me and Ken went into their room and took whatever we wanted to take. Since Bill had been taking all my money, we gladly took all their shit that caught our eye. You're welcome, Bill. Anyway, y'all, so they end up getting back, and they had this redheaded girl with them. Redhead girl with, like I was saying, they had this redheaded girl with them with freckles. She was pretty. She was so excited, y'all. She was like, I'm going to Miami with y'all in Mississippi. All I remember about her was that she was 22 years old. I don't remember her name or anything else. I just know she was hella excited, and she had them bags ready. So, me, Ashley, Bill, Kenny, redhead, and the daughter all load up and head out for Mississippi. On the way there, my friend already knew that we were, on the way to Mississippi. So he exchanged his daughter, whatever. We ended up getting to the condo in Mississippi, and my young age saved my ass one last time. Because Bill, Ashley, and Redhead decided to go to the casino. And me and Kenny could not go because we could not go onto the casino floor. We were too young. So, I overheard Ashley telling Redhead what they were going to be doing at the casino that night. Bill, her, and Ashley. And y'all, they were evil. Bill and Ashley were evil. What they were doing to people was, I can't say it on here. They were horrible. So that's likely what they were doing in the first place when we met them. Because what are the odds? And they're going to the same casino. But anyway, when they left, baby, when they left, my friend was there within 10 minutes. And I got the up out of there. Me and Kenny got the hell out of there. I blocked their number. I got my number changed, and I vanished from these people. As far as the redhead goes, I know that she did end up going to Miami with them. I hope that she's okay. I hope that she did not go down there and vanish. I hope that wherever she is, that she's okay. But yeah, I know, had I went to Miami with those people, had that little girl not came with us and we not stopped in Mississippi, I would not be here telling y'all this story. I just know it. I always have. Like, I don't know what they were going to do with me, but I wouldn't be here. So yeah, that's the story. And young girls, ladies, just because someone looks nice, they're well put together, they're dressed nice, they seem genuine, does not mean that they are. The devil was once an angel, and people wear masks. There are some sick, twisted, sadistic people in this world that prey on people and have horrible intentions for you, So yeah, y'all just stay safe out here. Last I heard about Bill, it was from someone who somewhat knew who he was, and they said that he was no longer living in the United States. Apparently, he's on the run. Don't know if it's true. Don't care. Y'all, I know that this was a very, very dumb thing for me to do. I had just lost my grandmother, who was like my entire heart, and my second mom in like the most tragic way imaginable. Not to mention, I was always very hard-headed, and I was always that person who had to learn from experience. And maybe that was to live and, be here today to share my testimony and potentially help and save others. And it took me healing and not giving a fuck what anybody has to say about me to be able to get on here and do this. So yeah, if y'all have any questions, again, drop below. I will answer, and love y'all.
What's the saying? Life has really been lifing for me this year. I suffered from severe depression, anxiety, and PTSD. I had to pull myself out of a really dark place. I was stalked and harassed for months. They came to my house with weapons. I received threatening phone calls and text messages from over 20 different phone numbers and text apps. They did almost everything to get my attention. Once they couldn't get the reaction they wanted out of me, they started to stalk and harass my son, who was 13 at the time. He received multiple death threats. Once my son got involved, me trying to ignore them went out the door. I was angry, I was annoyed, as any parent will be, and their plan to lure me out finally worked. I remember the moment I felt that burning sensation going through my body, and then I realized what had happened. At that moment, I took a breath, and then I realized I couldn't breathe. So I walked to the main street where everyone, including strangers, started calling for help. I'm super lightheaded. My fingers are numb. My toes are numb. So once the ambulance get there, they immediately started cutting my clothes off. I remember hearing large stab down the back. Oh my goodness. Large stab in the breast, stab near the spine, and 2 stabs near the lungs. As they are counting my wounds, I asked the lady, I'm like, am I going to survive? And the lady could not give me a straight answer. That's when I knew that it was bad. So I told them who stabbed me. At that moment, all I thought about was my son. What about my son? My son had just lost his father. Hearing that I was stabbed near my spine, I remember trying to move my toes and move my feet. And because I had lost so much blood, my whole body was going numb. So I'm like, am I paralyzed? Like, I can't feel my toes. Like, my body is starting to go cold. I mean, I'm scared. So, of course, I'm having all of these emotions and all of these thoughts. I just kept thinking, wow, I'm about to die. I can't believe I'm about to die. So I kept telling myself, I'm not going out like this. I forced myself to stay awake. I was so afraid to pass out. I kept thinking, if I pass out, I might not wake up. So we finally make it to the hospital. The trauma team at the hospital is there waiting. They gave me 2 blood transfusions and a chest tube because my lungs were punctured and I was literally suffocating on my own blood. So I asked for a phone. Still unsure if I was going to live or not. I asked for a phone and I called my son. So I tell my son what happened, and I tell him I don't know if I'm going to survive or not. But I loved him more than anything in the world. I remember hearing the confusion in his voice And I tried to stay on the phone with him and tried to listen to the doctors as they tell me, you know, what to do and so they can treat me. They allowed one person to come in the back. I asked for my sister to come to the back with me. And a few moments later, I was rushed into emergency surgery. During my surgery, they had to go into my stomach and make sure that no major organs were affected. I woke up with a minor scar on my stomach, and I have a knot on my stomach that I don't know if it's going to ever go away. And I'm completely fine with it because by the grace of God, God put those doctors in the right place at the right time to save my life. Once I woke up from surgery, I just thank God for allowing me to live and have a second chance to be with my son, because he did not deserve this. While I was in the hospital, I started suffering from insomnia. I couldn't sleep. I was so depressed. I was so angry. I kept having visions about what my funeral would have been like. How my son would have had to go through life with no parents. You know what's even worse is that I had no life insurance. I had no one assigned as beneficiaries on none of my accounts, which means it would have been almost impossible for anyone to have access to the money that I had in my bank account, which could have helped pay for my funeral and to raise my son. I realized at that moment I was so irresponsible. Then I started having moments of regret. Like, why couldn't they just leave me alone? What could I have done to prevent the situation from happening? I never should have responded. Maybe I should have changed my number. Maybe I should have moved. I should have done more to protect me and my son. That day, my pride really got in the way, and my pride almost got me killed. I grew up in the projects of Washington, D.C. My mom had a stroke when we were young, and me and my siblings were separated. I was molested as a child. I got expelled from multiple schools for fighting, and I was a single mom at 18. So I never had an easy life. I never had a good childhood. I honestly believe that they stalked and harassed me because they assumed I had this perfect life and they wanted to ruin it. But then I started to think about the part that I played in the whole situation. I should have called the police. I could have tried to get a protection order. I never did none of those things because in my mind, I always thought it's not going to go that far. Why would it go that far? Even after they came to my house, I was no threat to them. I kept thinking, people who have children, that love their children, they don't move like that. And I was wrong. That was me being naive. The point I'm trying to make is, it's time to stop the violence. Here in Washington, D.C., the violence is so crazy here. The crime rate is ridiculous. We are afraid to go outside now because it's like, are we going to get carjacked today? Are we going to get robbed today? Is someone going to shoot us? I think the homicide rate is at 261, I believe. It's time that we start to focus on our mental health. Mental health is important, and I feel like we don't have those talks. It's time that we all invest in life insurance. While I was in the hospital, I just kept thinking, wow, I really worked hard for everything that I have. I received my master's degree 2 years ago. I just wanted my son to have a better life than the one that I had. And it was almost taken away that fast. That one decision I made could have cost me everything. And that's why I worked so hard and tried so hard to ignore them for as long as possible. Nothing or no one is worth your life or your freedom. Just walk away. It's not worth it. I spent 4 days in the hospital. The 4th day, they took out the chest tube. And I had to have x-rays and tests done to make sure that my lungs were strong enough. Once I was discharged, I thought, okay, it's time for me to heal and get used to my new norm. I have these ugly scars. My lungs were really weak, so it was hard for me to hold long conversations. I couldn't walk up steps without getting out of breath. The people responsible for almost taking my life was still out and free and taunting me. I thought the worst had already happened, but nothing prepared me for what was next.
Get ready with me while I talk about my stalker story. I've honestly been waiting like 2 years to tell this story because it was kind of scary. We didn't want this person to see this video or find where we were, but I think it's been long enough now to talk about it. Also, ignore my self-tan hands. Really, I haven't figured it out yet, but we're working on it. This started back in 2021, September, end of summer. I just started dating my boyfriend. We were sitting on the couch, drinking wine, just made some dinner, and we heard the doorbell ring. My boyfriend got up to answer the door. We weren't expecting anyone, so it was a little weird. He answered the door and I just hear this female voice talking. I looked around the corner because I thought it was kind of weird. There was this lady in her 30s, it looked like. She was wearing a black tight dress and really tall heels. This lady had a bottle of tequila in her hand and she handed it to my boyfriend and she was like, "I'm so sorry for the noise last night. I live in the unit directly below you. We were doing construction and I just wanted to bring this bottle of tequila to say sorry if it disturbed you guys at all." We were confused because we didn't hear any noise the night before. We were like, okay, it's fine. Like, thank you so much. It's okay, don't worry about it. A few days go by. It's morning time, really early in the morning. We are just waking up, getting ready for work, and we hear the doorbell ring again. My boyfriend's roommate answered the door. I heard a bunch of commotion. So I open the door and I look outside and I see my boyfriend's roommate like shoving the door closed on this lady. So obviously it was the same lady as before. She had showed up at 8 in the morning, rang the doorbell, and she was wearing nothing but a towel, like completely naked in a bath towel with her hair wet. And she was trying to come into the apartment. She was like, "Who's there? Is it just you guys? Is it just you guys?" And he was like, yeah, like what, can we help you? Like, what are you doing? And she tried to shove her way into the apartment and my boyfriend's roommate had to slam the door on her and basically yell at her to get out. We didn't really know what to think of it. We thought maybe she thought they were cute and was trying to shoot her shot and then she was pissed that they wouldn't let her in or something. We kind of just like let it go at the time. About a month goes by. Me and my boyfriend are getting ready to leave to go get sushi. We open the door and we look down and there's a folded up piece of paper on the doormat. We pick up the piece of paper and it is literally Morse code. A piece of paper with sentences on it, with punctuation, with lines and dots. I literally have a photo of it. Like, it was a Morse code note. I took pictures and videos of this entire ordeal that I can post, maybe. There's honestly so much to this story, so this is like a summarized version, but yeah. So on the way to sushi, I'm like looking up Morse code on my phone and I'm like deciphering this note. I finally got the whole thing decoded and it said, "Who are you and what exactly do you want from me? I'll be back in 30 minutes. We didn't really know what to do, so obviously we went to dinner. We were kind of expecting that when we got back there would be another one, and there was. Morse code note number 2. "If you truly want me, call me. I no longer trust you." We obviously had no idea who this person was, so we weren't responding to the Morse code notes, but it basically became a series of Morse code notes from this lady. She kept leaving them at the door. This was like a week-long thing. Every night she would leave a new one. It would always happen at like 6 or 7 p.m. Like, here's another one. "I don't understand. I will accept Tony, Leandro, or David. They need to call me today." And then just like some random stuff at the bottom. And then there's 3 more. The next one said, "Are they dead? I don't care if they moved on. I want to make sure they are alive and well, !" Question mark. "As for the other gentleman, I am not a prostitute. I need to get to know them first, nor your slave." Also, throughout this whole thing, kind of left out this part, she would come to the door and ring the doorbell over and over and over again. Ding, 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 ding. we wouldn't even answer the door. Like we were scared of her, so we wouldn't even open the door. Most of the time we would just stay and hide and be quiet. She would ring the doorbell over and over and over again, yell stuff through the door, and leave these notes. She randomly left a note that had the alphabet on it, and then when we opened it, she stopped using Morse code, and she actually wrote in English this time. I don't understand, and unless you are specific on terms and whom you're suggesting, I don't get it, so I won't choose. FYI, you don't own me, and don't think for a minute that I forgot you were trying to ruin me. How can I ever trust you? P.S. The problem in my dreams was that. No open borders. Also, the way she was writing in that looked like someone who is clearly frantic, like it was scary. At this point, we know that we're dealing with someone who clearly has mental health issues. You never know what someone's capable of, so we didn't want to make the situation worse. So we kept ignoring it and leaving it alone. This whole thing basically started a series of months. This lasted like over a year. She would bang up on her ceiling at us with a broom at all hours of the night, like in the morning times, night times. But there was a period of time where she would come every single night and ring the doorbell over and over and over again. Here is a clip of how she would ring the doorbell when she would go crazy. I honestly have so many videos of that I can show a different time. But yeah, at this point, we decided to call the cops, told them what was going on. We asked them to come down and tell her to please leave us alone. Submitted a police report. We showed them all the notes and everything. And they would come down and they said that they would go knock on her door, but if she didn't answer, they couldn't do anything about it. We had called the cops multiple times because this kept happening. Even when they would come, like nothing would change. She would still do it again and they would do nothing really about it. They would say, we can't help you guys until she actually does something to hurt someone. One of the last interactions that we had with her, she came to the door, did the ringing the doorbell thing again. At this point, we would open the window, the kitchen window, because we could see it out by the door. We'd open the kitchen window and be like, please leave us alone, go away, like leave us alone. We would yell for help from the neighbors, being like, help, this lady is like harassing us. One of the last interactions that we had with her before we moved out and everything, she came to the window and she told us that she thought that we were paid actors and that we sent paid actors to her door. The cops were paid actors. We were paid actors. And that we sent paid actors to her door to harass her. The whole time, she told us that we were harassing her and we needed to leave her alone. She told the cops that we were harassing her. We needed to leave her alone. Really, she was just mentally ill, which we understand, but also we were being harassed, so it was a lot. Here is a clip of one of the last times how violent she got with ringing our doorbell. It was bad. It was really bad. She's hiding. Oh my god. So, yeah. That's that. I can honestly talk about this for so long. I have so many videos. I have a whole album in my phone called Stalker that has every video and all the info about this, so I could talk about it forever. So yeah, let me know if you want a part 2 of my stalker story, but that's pretty much the summed up version.
Dude, what are you doing?
No, nothing. Can I come in?
No,
Why?
because I don't know you.
Why are you smiling?
Because you're being weird.
Go on, don't be
Bro,
silly.
what the
Who's
fuck?
there?
Do you
Who's
see
there?
this? Do you see this?
Who's there? Just you guys?
Dude,
Dude, get out.
get the fuck out of my apartment.
Oh my god! Oh.
Yeah, don't come back. Don't come back.
Yeah, it's her, dude. Should we just be quiet?
If you are interested in leasing
Dude,
one of our
holy
wonderful
crap.
apartment homes, please press 1. If you are a current resident, please press 2. If you're having a late emergency, please press 1. 5. If you're having a late emergency,
This is literally crazy.
I can't believe this. She doesn't even know we're
I
home.
know.
do you know why she's ringing your doorbell?
Oh, she's leaving. Thank God.
They call the cops, why don't you?
We do
Thank you all the
every
time.
day!
Coming again. Yeah, they're
coming
What?
again,
We're calling
bitch.
them now. Okay, let's
coming.
call.
We're coming, bro. We're coming, bro.
Yeah.
You're getting evicted. You're getting evicted. You're getting evicted. We're getting evicted.
Wait, come here. Do you think
You're getting evicted.
Do you think? I mean, wait, hold on.
Wait, you think the cops are paid actors?
Wait, do you think the cops are actors? Do you think the cops are actors?
They are actors.
Whoa!
Dude. Dude. She's hiding. Oh my god. Dude, I can't even see her because she like pushes her body against the door.
Okay.
Holy. No.
Don't say anything.
Do you have this energy?
Just let it be.
Please, not
No,
Dude.
no.
Dude,
We're not doing it. We're not doing anything. I'm not saying anything.
I hate her.
There's nothing wrong with a pepper spray.
If she tried to hurt us, then we could do that, but we can't do that.
Yeah.
She has to try to hurt us, which I mean, clearly she kind of honestly has, but it's fine. We don't need to do that. Let's just wait it out. Just wait. Once she walks away.
If she comes over here, just don't say anything.
Yeah, just record her and just don't
Yeah.
say anything.
This is fucking crazy.
Ugh.
Don't put the flash on.
Oh my god. She's still going. It's been 3 minutes. Don't.
Don't.
She might have something. She might have a weapon.
Don't.
No, I'm just saying, like, how do you guys open, like, what have you done? What has she done?
She just tells us to leave her alone. Can we unhook the doorbell?
How do you unhook this?
Let's unhook the doorbell.
And we can call the cops and they'll catch her here.
Call the cops. Dude, do you hear this? This is crazy.
Is this on your phone yet?
This is the worst time, I think. Call who?
The cops.
Yeah. Where the fuck is she? Why is she not walking away?
I want to say something to her. I want to yell at her in Spanish.
Why isn't she walking away? There she is. Look at her. She's coming! She's coming! She's coming! Okay, so I'm going to use this comment to answer a lot of the questions I've been getting because there's a lot of the same comments, so I'm just going to answer them all here. Okay, so first of all, if you've seen this video and you're confused and you haven't watched the story time that I posted, go watch the story time. I explain pretty much the whole story of why this lady's ringing the doorbell and like what's going on. If you haven't seen that, go watch that first because that explains a lot of the questions I feel like that people have. And then also to address this comment and for everyone saying, why didn't you deactivate the doorbell? Yes, we thought of that. We were considering deactivating the doorbell, but then we kind of wanted to know when she was outside. We kind of wanted to know how often she was coming when she was outside. It also was kind of a pain getting the doorbell deactivated. Like, we couldn't really do it ourselves. We would have to call the maintenance to come and do it, and like they weren't very helpful, like at all. So it was just kind of a hassle for us. Also, literally the top thing commented on this entire video is telling us that we should have gone out there and fought her. Why didn't we go open the door? Why didn't we go out there? Why didn't we confront her? We were not going to do that. We were worried about our safety. We didn't want to go out there and confront this lady. We did open the door at one point. We did. And she was holding a pen in her hand, like a weapon. As soon as we saw that, we were like, okay, we're not opening the door anymore. We didn't want to escalate the situation. You don't know what people are capable of, so it just wasn't a smart decision for us. Yeah, we weren't going to go out and fight someone, so. Also, another reason why we didn't go out there was because we were already in communication with the cops when this all was going down. The cops instructed us not to have any confrontation with her. They were like, leave her alone. Don't go and confront her. Like, she clearly is mentally ill. Like, don't do that. So we weren't going to do that, especially if we needed to call the cops again. Like, we didn't want there to be something that we did that would incriminate us in any way. And that brings me to another one of the comments I'm getting a lot is, why didn't you guys call the cops? We did call the cops. We were talking to the cops like pretty much from the beginning. We called them. We showed them all the Morse code notes. We showed them the videos of her ringing the doorbell. We told them everything. We were talking to the cops. I explained that in the story time, but I think a lot of people like on this video don't know that. They pretty much just told us that they couldn't do anything about it because she didn't hurt anyone yet. They said that she would have to hurt someone first, or do something, I guess, illegal before they could do anything to step in. We would call the cops when it would get really bad and she would ring the doorbell a lot. But then as time went on, we kind of stopped calling them every time it would happen because we knew that they would come down and not do anything. We stopped calling them unless it was really, really bad. I think one of the last videos I posted when she was like yelling back and forth with us, we called them that time too, but they never ended up doing anything to help us. Another comment that a lot of people were saying was, why didn't you talk to the management of the apartment? We did talk to management. We called them. We showed them everything too. We submitted a police report to them and we told them all about it. And they basically said that they also couldn't do anything to help us. The management also told us that they had gotten complaints about her from other neighbors, but nothing as bad as ours. They also said that she wasn't paying her rent, that she was already kind of on the way out. They would do what they could, but there was laws in place where they couldn't evict her right away. This was also post-COVID, so post-COVID, there was a lot of eviction laws protecting people. So I think this was just like a hard time to evict someone. Aside from that though, like they really were not helpful. They did not do anything to help us. Honestly, the cops were more helpful even though they didn't really do anything. We were kind of out of options when it came to getting help from management or cops. Also, another thing that I didn't talk about in my last video, during this whole process, my car had gotten keyed. And my car was parked in the building when it got keyed, and we were pretty sure that this lady did it. We asked them to get the footage to us from the parking garage. We wanted to find out who keyed my car because, I mean, they kept saying that they were gonna do it. We even like gave them the police report and we were like, you have to give us the footage. And they did not do that either. So we ended up giving up on all of that. Some people were also asking if we drank the tequila in the beginning. Yes, we did. It was sealed, so yeah, we drank it. A lot of people on my story time were saying, your boyfriend is sus, like one of them definitely hooked up with her, like it sounds like a crazy ex or something. No, this was not a crazy ex. Like they do not know her. Trust me, this was a mentally ill person that lived underneath the unit. Like they had no idea who she was. Like they were so frustrated this whole time. It was not weird at all. It was just, yeah, trust. They don't know her. The last comment that I saw a lot on the recent videos that I posted was, why am I concealing her identity on those videos? The reason why I don't want to show her face in the videos is, number one, she's a mentally ill person. She is not just someone out here trying to bother us and like knows what they're doing. Like she's clearly mentally ill, and I don't want her face out there for people to go and attack her or do anything to her. That's not the point of why I posted any of these videos. Like I'm not trying to get her, like I don't want people to find her and like hate on her or anything. I just wanted to share the story. So I don't think it's important who she is, and I don't want the internet attacking her. So sorry. But anyways, yeah, I think I answered most of the questions. Yeah, so that's that.
I would like to report something. How does it work?
What would you like to report?
I don't know how to tell you this, but I'm getting stalked.
By a man or a woman?
A woman.
41,071 emails, 350 hours of voicemail, 744 tweets, 46 Facebook messages, 4 fake Facebook accounts, 106 pages of letters.
Welcome back, beautiful people. Today we're going to be talking about another job story time, so seatbelts buckled. We're about to talk about my first ever stalker. Yeah, this one's a weird one. So before I came to college, I had to come to orientation, but here we call it SOAR. At SOAR, we're paired into little groups. That's how you meet people, you know, you talk to the new people, you exchange social medias. We're all coming into this new experience. We need to band together. And so I did. I shared my social medias with my group. We all exchanged phone numbers. We were all super excited, buzzing with excitement to start our collegiate career. We're all going around the circle talking about what our names are, where we're from, what our majors are. We're going around doing our little formalities, and one of the guys in the group, we're gonna name him Javier. So it's Javier's turn. He says where he's from, and he's from a town that is right next to my hometown. So I'm like, oh, okay. Bondage immediately. Like, bonding. Not that kind of bondage. I'm like, okay, bet, Javier, he seems cool. Like, we have something in common already, right? Bitch, wrong. Then he starts talking about his major, everything, blah, 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 whatever. My turn. Hi, I'm Christina. I'm from insert hometown here. Immediately, his eyes widen. So we go around the circle, we finish talking. As soon as we're done with that little icebreaker game, we are allowed to get up and go and explore and look around the new campus. And what does Javier do? He decides to follow me and my mother. So me and my mom were walking around, looking at all the different little buildings, walking my classes, and Javier is behind us. To Javier, when we were talking about the hometowns, do you have a job? Like, what do you do? And he says where he works. I say where I worked at the Dick's Sporting Goods in my hometown. Fun fact, there is only one Dick's Sporting Goods in my hometown. The next closest one is going to be like 30 minutes away. Me saying where I lived, plus that I worked at Dick's Sporting Goods, he easily put 2 and 2 together. The rest of SOAR continues. The weekend was great. Back home without a second thought. Super excited to begin my collegiate career. It was summertime. I was just getting ready to get through summer so I could get to college. Means that I was working virtually every day to try to save my coin, save my bag, because your girl was hustling. After SOAR, Javier had followed me on everything. He'd also gotten my phone number, and he had started trying to text me. I thought Javier was a cool guy, as in a friend. When he was texting me, of course, at first, on some friend shit, I responded. It increasingly got worse and worse and worse, and weirder and weirder and weirder. He started saying things like, why aren't you responding to me? What are you doing? Why aren't you responding to me? Spamming my phone, y'all. Sometimes I would say, oh, I'm at work. Great excuse. I love saying that I'm at work. And genuinely, I was. And I could have been on my phone talking to him, but I don't want you. Like, the fuck? Get off my line. Javier takes it upon himself to start calling me while I'm at work. He's like, if you're actually at work, pick up the phone so I can make sure that you're at work. Obviously, no, you psychopath. I'm not gonna do that. At this point, I fully had stopped responding to him at all, y'all. He was just spamming my phone to no avail because I was not responding to his antics. A couple days later, I'm at work, and he hadn't sent me a text in a while. I'm thinking the worst of it is over. I'm thinking we are done. He's finally gotten the hint. He's off. Boy, was I wrong. I'm sitting up front, checking people out, other than Javier walks through the double sliding doors of Dick's Sporting Goods. I told you that we lived in neighboring hometowns. His hometown had the other Dick's Sporting Goods that was 30 minutes away from mine. There's no reason why he should be in my side of the tracks. Does that make sense? Everything he would have needed is 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes away from him. So for him to come to find me is going out of his way. Checked my phone as I see him walk through the doors because I was like, oh my God, did he mean to do this? Sure enough, as I was at the register, he had called me 4 times, texted me and said, I'm gonna find out if you're actually at work. Or, excuse me, what? He walks in through the doors. He stops, he sees me at the register, and he walks up with a smile on his face. I look at my coworker, I go, I'm gonna go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. I go to the bathroom, I come back up, and he is still waiting there for me. Over to him, and I'm like, hey, Javier, how are you? Start making small talk. What are you doing here? You know, this is beyond freaky. Like, you are freaking me out. This is not okay. He ends up getting kind of aggressive with me, y'all, and he's like, well, you weren't responding to my text or my call, so I had to make sure that you weren't lying to me. I'm sorry. He asks when I get off so that he can wait for me outside so that we can hang out. I'm like, I don't want you. How about that? No. I tell my coworker, I'm like, I'm going on break. I go find my manager in the back and I'm like, hey, this guy, he's here. I met him in Charlotte. He is now in my hometown. This is incredibly weird. I do not want him like that. I do not want to hang out with him like that. Like, please help me out in this situation. So my manager's like, okay, perfect. We're going to switch you around. We're going to put you in footwear for the night so that you're not up at front with him. And I'm going to ask him to leave. And I was like, okay, perfect. I think we're done, right? He leaves after my manager talks to him and he does not text me, does not call me, does not say a word. I'm like, oh my God, he finally got the hint. Thank God. We just needed to have an adult in this situation. Or so I thought. I worked again the next day. I'm up front. It's another regular shift. I'm surely not thinking anything, especially regarding Javier, is going to happen because he's gone. No, baby. About 3 hours into my shift, I see those sliding doors slide right open and he walks in. What's funny is my manager was standing at the door, but this was a different manager. He was standing right at the door. Javier sees him and immediately walks up to him and starts asking for Christina, aka me. And he turns to the registers and he sees me and he immediately hops in line, grabs a drink, hops in line, and then specifically waits for me. This motherfucker starts talking to me like everything is normal, like it's peach and dandy and fine that he's here, like he is not driving 40 minutes out of his way, one way, to come see me every day. He was coming in every single day and asking managers if I was working. My managers were calling me and texting me when I was off the clock. Hey, that guy came back. He asked if you were working. We told him no, you need to be safe. At this point, it was common knowledge to all of the employees that this man was no bueno. He was out to fucking get me because I don't know what the fuck he's doing. He was going to more than managers at this point. He's going to in every department asking if they've seen or heard from me, where I am, what I was doing. Like, it was kind of scary. I'm getting texts from coworkers. A guy came in asking if you were here today. He was asking where you were. You weren't responding to his texts. Oh my God. I was genuinely getting scared. Manager, please do not put me on the register up front. Like, this man, like, what if he's coming to me? You know, like, what the I don't know. Manager starts scheduling me in the back end footwear. I start working back there until the very last day that Javier ever comes in. He walks in the store, asks an employee who's standing up front where I am. They did not know that I wasn't supposed to be contacted by this man. So they tell him that I'm back in footwear. He comes back to footwear and he sees me and he immediately starts speed walking towards me. My heart dropped out of my asshole. I see him approaching and I turn to one of the footwear associates and I'm like, oh my God, that's him. Help. Like, what the fuck do I do? Before I can even figure out what I should do, Javier is standing right next to me. I'm running out of time, y'all, so you're gonna have to follow or come back for part 2. But comment, let me know some of the things that you guys would have done if you were in this situation, and stick around if you like these story times. Have a great day.
Get ready with me and I'm going to tell you the story about how I was stalked and it became a federal case. First, let me start by clarifying that my parents rarely ever let me go anywhere, so when I did get to go somewhere, it was like a super rare occurrence and I'd be really excited. But I had this one girl that I had been friends with since kindergarten and my parents were like, fine, you can go over there for the weekend, whatever. It was one of those friends where your parents think that they're a saint and that they can do like nothing wrong, but she was actually a really bad influence and she was always like getting me into really bad stuff. So when I get to her house, we're not supposed to go anywhere. Like, we're supposed to be staying at her house, and she lived with her grandma, so we were supposed to be staying at her grandma's house, and her grandma was supposed to be home, but she was actually at work. When I get to my friend's house, she wants to go to the beach. You're probably thinking, oh, she lives by the beach. Wrong. It's a 45-minute walk. So after a long 45-minute walk and chafed legs, we leave our stuff by a tree and we just go off and swim and like sat in the sun for a couple hours, and after like 4 hours of being at the beach, we were finally ready to leave. When we go back to our bags, they were like tipped over and we could tell that somebody went through our stuff, but nothing was missing. So at this point, we're just thinking that maybe some stupid kid thought that it was their bag or thought it was somebody else's bag. We're thinking that, you know, our stuff isn't gone, so we're not mad. We're just like, somebody went through our stuff. We walked back to her grandma's house, and that's when things started to get weird. Her phone started to ring a bunch of times, and eventually she answered it, and it was some guy pretending to be Scream. He's like, what's your favorite scary movie? And me and my friend are playing along, and we're like, why do you want to know? And he's like, because I want to know who I'm looking at. And at this point, we're like, haha, like, it's still a joke, it's a prank, it's so funny, haha. And my friend hangs up, and then he calls back again, and he's acting like the Scream killer, right? You know, he gets really mad that you hung up. And my friend goes, well, since you're watching us, then what are we wearing? He says everything we're wearing down to our socks, and me and my friend are like, ourselves at this point. We start freaking out. We had the window in her room open with the curtains, so we closed the door immediately, closed the curtains. We ran out to the living room and closed all the curtains, and then we're just like, okay, like, what the After we closed up all the windows, we obviously were not answering his call, because even though we were still thinking it might have been a prank, we were honestly like freaked out because it was just getting more and more aggressive. But then it took a really dark turn because my phone started ringing. And this is what creeped me out the most, is I had a track phone. At the time it was called an Obama phone, but nobody had my number except that friend, my mom, and my dad, and that's it. Nobody else had that phone number. I forgot to mention this, but when my phone first rung, I blocked him. And I think that that made him mad because that was when the messages started pouring in and getting more volatile. And it was from a different number with the same signature, always watching. At this point, I'm thinking maybe it's an elaborate prank because nobody had my number. So I'm like, there's no way there's some guy just like hiding in the fucking bushes and has my track phone, Obama phone fucking number. Like, no way this is real. The messages on my phone just got worse and worse. Like, they got more detailed and violence to the point where me and my friend, when her grandma came home, were hysterically crying. Talked to her grandma, showed her grandma the messages, and she did call the police. The police get there. The text messages all stopped. The phone calls stopped. We show the police the messages. They really didn't take it seriously. They were just like, it's a prank. Of course, they didn't believe us. They said, and I quote, boys will be boys. It's just a prank. Not long after the police leave, the messages start back up again, of course. And he's saying to come outside. And then we hear this loud thud in the living room by the door. The grandma opens the door, and there is a knife in the door. A butcher knife. So the police were called again. I called my mom and my dad, and I'm freaking out. Like, I just want to go home. I don't want to be here anymore. I'm And that takes a lot because my house was extremely abusive and I didn't want to be home. So calling my parents to tell them that, well, you know, there's a stalker and my phone that I'm not supposed to be texting anybody on is being blown up with death threats. Like, do you know how that went over with my parents? Yeah, never got to go anywhere ever fucking again, which... halfway my own fault. But my mom had blocked the number that was sending it, and every single message was coming in as a new phone number. Message after message after message after message. I mean, there were thousands of messages. Intimate, crazy fucking details of the most disturbing things I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, who thinks of these things besides a psycho? You know it's bad when my mom was bothered by the messages because she actually called the police again once I had gotten home to report the messages because I was just a kid and I shouldn't be getting these kinds of threats, you know, and messages. So the police come out and they say the same spiel, you know, it's probably just a prank. It's just a boy who probably likes you. Boys will be boys. So my mom had confiscated my phone and she was ignoring all the messages, and then we started getting house calls, and then her personal cell phone also started getting calls and text messages. Mom reported the hundreds of threatening messages to me, again to the police, and they said there was nothing they could do because they were fake numbers unless something happened. Part ready with me, story time. I was stalked and it became a federal case. This is part 2. The police had been called twice now about the threats that had been going on. They went on for about 2 weeks straight, but the police said the same thing. They said that boys will be boys, it was just a prank, and they didn't take it seriously at all. They basically said that something physical had to happen. The messages, the calls, and the harassment went on for about 2 weeks. Sometimes he would leave 5-minute long voicemails on the home phone and he would just breathe in the phone. The day of the next incident, it was quiet. There were no calls or messages that day. And I remember going to sleep on a stormy, thunderstormy night, which is just so cliche, I know. Still a little paranoid, but I was thinking that it's over, so I fell asleep pretty easily. I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning to a lightning strike by turn, and I see a man standing in my window, and I just start shrieking. I tried to get up out of bed quickly, and I fall over because I'm so terrified. There is a man. My parents are just salty that I woke them up. Then I just keep screaming like, there's a man. I would say it took my dad about 2 minutes to get dressed and get outside and circle around the house. And he went outside with no flashlight and a baseball bat and his shoes barely tied. He comes back inside and he's yelling at me, calling me a stupid girl, saying that there's nobody out there. But my mom had already called the police at this point because she was taking it seriously. The police come out and they were thinking the same thing. They seemed more agitated to be out in the rain than anything else. They once again don't take it seriously, and they're kind of taking my dad's side that I'm just a stupid girl who didn't see anything until they take their big bright flashlights and go walk around the house. Lo and behold, they find footprints because it had been raining all day long, and they see these footprints leading up to my windowsill. Originally, they tried to say that they were my dad's, but my dad's like, I didn't even walk over here, and those shoes are way too big to be mine. After that day, there were no texts, there were no calls, nothing happened, so I thought that it was finally over. Because of my parents' substance abuse problems, we ended up being houseless again, and we were supposed to move into my grandparents' house, and I ran away from home because I would have rather been in the foster care system than live in my grandparents' house. I was just gonna keep running away, so my parents finally gave up on me, so I got to go live with my sister, which meant that I moved 45 minutes away from where I was living, and I went to a new school. 11 months go by, no incident. I'm living my best teenage life at my sister's house without all these responsibilities and chores and things that my parents usually made me do. My niece was about 8 years old at the time, and we were walking back from the park, and I noticed that there is a man, and I'm pretty sure he's following us. He has his hood pulled all the way down to the point where you could barely see his chin, and it was 80 degrees outside. Not 100% sure if this guy's following us, so I start cutting behind people's backyards, and he starts straggling behind, but sure enough, he follows us behind. So I grab my niece's hand, and we start running, and I pull out my phone and act like I'm calling. My phone was actually dead at the time. We run all the way back to my sister's apartment. My niece is hysterically crying. My sister's mad because she's crying. We call the police. The police, you know, don't take it seriously because I'm the local crazy lady who's reported a guy that nobody's seen, and my only credible witness is an 8-year-old. I had other incidents. I had my very first boyfriend, and his cat was left in pieces on the doorstep, and I got a first text message I had gotten in months. Police don't investigate cat murders, so they just took a report and they basically said it was my boyfriend's fault for leaving his cat outside. Almost kidnapped out of my sister's apartment when I was 16 years old. I walked home from school and the apartment door was unlocked. My sister usually wasn't home. She was at work, so I just assumed maybe she was running late. She rushed out of the door. She forgot to lock it. Red flag number 2, when I walked into the apartment, it was just as cold inside as it was outside. But I walked downstairs to my room and started taking off my wet clothes and putting them in the washing machine. This happened in like 10 seconds, but it felt like forever. It felt like time slowed down and that minute was like 100 years. My sister would usually call and check to make sure that I made it home safely, so when the home phone rang, I answered it and just thought it would be my sister. I didn't hear anything but breathing, and I feel a gust of wind. I look over and I notice that all of the windows are open and the screens are removed. I slowly pull back the home phone and I'm looking at the caller ID and the phone call is coming from upstairs. This was a horror movie. Everybody would be yelling and booing at the screen because instead of hanging up and calling 911, I drop the phone on the ground and the battery falls out of the back and I start running upstairs, and there were 2 flights of stairs. I'm going to show you a picture of what it looked like. When you come up the first set of stairs, the door was right there. So I'm running up the stairs, and as I'm running up the stairs, I can hear him moving around and I see a man at the top of the stairs rushing down at me. I'm pulling the door open. I see this man about an arm's length away from grabbing me, and he is huge. He is so much bigger than me. I'm screaming bloody murder. Let me paint the scene for you. It's raining outside. I am in a tank top, no bra, and super short shorts, screaming bloody murder, and run across the street because we lived in townhouse complexes to my neighbor's house. She calls 911. The police come. They don't believe me at first until they get a statement from my neighbor who saw a large man completely covered up wearing a mask jump off of my balcony and run into the cornfield. But wait, there's more. How my case became federal. Final part. Get ready with me, story time. I was stalked and it became a federal case. This is the final part. After my sister's apartment was broken into, the police came, and at first they didn't take it seriously and just thought I was a crazy person until they got our neighbors' witness statements. See, my sister's townhouse was the very edge, so there was only one neighbor and it was to the left side, and thankfully she had been home. She was cooking, standing in her kitchen when she heard me screaming, so she looked out of her window and she sees a man jumping off of the balcony and running towards the cornfield, which she thought was really strange. And then obviously shortly after, the police come knocking. Now the police were finally taking it seriously and doing a real investigation, and one of the things that they had noticed and pointed out was every single window towards the cornfield had been open, including the side door upstairs with the screens removed, and they believe that this was done to make it easier to kidnap me and pull me out of any of those windows or the door facing the cornfield, because they believe that he had a vehicle somewhere down towards the cornfield where it would have been out of view. There were no traffic cameras and there was nothing down that way, so it would have been a very good opportunity. 2 years had gone by without any incident, and I just assumed that he lost interest because he couldn't kidnap me. The day I go to move states, I start getting messages again right as I'm about to get on the plane, which I found really creepy because it was almost like he knew I was getting on a plane. Like he had been watching me, and his signature the entire time when he would send me a message was always watching. Part of me felt like it was just another one of his mental games, because that was what he liked to do. He liked me to be scared, and maybe he was hoping that I would stay in that state so that he could continue to terrorize me, because I'm thinking I'm moving 1,500 miles away. He's not gonna follow me. When my plane finally landed, my phone was blown up with phone calls from concerned family and my boyfriend, because they had gotten threatening messages as well. And my boyfriend even got a picture, it was really grainy, of somebody sitting in an airplane seat. My boyfriend and my family had called the police, and the police said that I needed to make a report in the state that I was living in because it was out of their jurisdiction. It didn't matter if they were threatening me if I wasn't living in the same state. I didn't call the police because I didn't think they were going to do anything. I didn't think it mattered, and every single time I had, they had just treated me like I was a crazy person. All the messages and calls stopped once I got to my new state, so it was pretty much just when I was boarding the flight that this was happening. Then afterwards, it was just silence. I thought I was right and that he was just trying to get me to stay by manipulating me. After living in my new state for 2 weeks and not getting any calls or text messages, I started to feel safe. I felt like I had finally escaped and I didn't have anything to worry about. I'd asked my friend if she wanted to go for a walk, and she said no, but she later changed her mind, and this would be what saved me. I had cut around the corner, and from behind, I just got bear hugged and lifted off of the ground. Start kicking and screaming, and I was in the fetal position up on the ground, and I feel this sharp pain in my calf, and he's telling me to shut the My friend comes around the corner because she had changed her mind about coming on that walk with me, and she sees me struggling with this man. I couldn't see his face because he had me grabbed from behind. He drops me to the ground because my friend starts screaming and running towards him, and he runs off. The police meet me at the hospital where I have a wound on my leg, got a couple of stitches. Nothing ever came of it. They never found him. I never got answers about my investigation. The investigators just told me theories of what they believed might have happened. Once again, I never got answers. I only got theories, and investigators theorized that he got my phone number because my phone did not have a lock on it. I only had 3 phone numbers in there, which was my house phone, my mom's phone, and my best friend's phone who had originally gotten the phone calls. Investigators theorized that he didn't know who was who, but he had already picked out his target and that he liked me more than he liked my friend because she did not receive any threatening calls or text messages after that day. They believe that this man had some kind of military or police experience because of there being no fingerprints and no actual physical evidence other than other witnesses seeing him. They believe that he also had some kind of computer experience because he was able to spoof numbers, and this was at a time where technology wasn't that advanced, so to be able to spoof numbers that quickly was unusual. They did not believe that I was his first or his only victim, which is probably the scariest part because if he didn't get me, does that mean that he got somebody else or did he get locked up? But it's still something that sits in the back of my mind every day, which is why I'm very conscious about the decisions that I make and what I post on the internet. Part of internet safety is never post where you are on the same day, and I hope that you can learn a couple things. Never post your full legal name, never post where you work, do not post your location of where you are on the same day. I'm lucky enough to be able to be here to tell you my story, but not everybody is.
Okay, this is a long story, but this is the story of when I had a legit stalker. So back in 2018, I went to a rave with my friends and a guy approached her and I. So the guy approached us and he was offering to take our picture and stuff because we were trying to take pictures. We were like, oh, thank you. And then he was like, hey, can I actually have like your girls' phone numbers? I was not interested, neither was my friend, and we both were like, sorry, no, like, thank you for the pictures, but no. So anyway, he goes, okay, well, can I have your Snapchat at least? And of course, me and my friend are so nice, too nice, learn from us. We gave him our Snapchats. So we give him our Snapchats, we wake up the next morning from the rave, and I realized, I think my friend did too, but he had kind of blown us up, like he just sent us a bunch of random messages. And initially when I gave him my Snapchat, I was like, I'm probably just gonna block him or unfollow him, whatever, because I really wasn't interested. Here's the crappy thing though, he had my name. And once he had my name, he knew how to look me up on Instagram. He looks me up on Instagram and follows me. I block him on Snapchat and then I go on my Instagram and I see he's kind of doing the same thing. And I'm like, this guy's being really weird. So I go ahead and I block him on there as well. Also at the time, I was doing bottle service at a club, and of course, when you do bottle service, you have to post your job. So fast forward maybe a couple weeks, I'm working, and I'm not thinking anything of this guy. And all of a sudden, I hear somebody say my name behind me, they go, Whitney. I turn around, and I realize it's the guy from the rave. So I turn around, I'm like shocked. I don't even remember this guy's name. Like, it was such a small interaction. And this dude actually looks at me and says, so you blocked me on everything, huh? And I was so shocked, I like didn't even know what to say. I was like I had no words because I did block him. So he goes, have a good night. And then he walks away. And I'm thinking, okay, that's the end of that. So fast forward maybe like a month or two, we go to another rave. Good on us. And this is where it gets really interesting because this was a Halloween rave. So me and my friend arrive, we're at the rave, it's just her and I pretty much at this point, we had kind of split off from our group, and a guy approaches us, he has a mask on, and he goes, you girls are so beautiful, doesn't take his mask off, and he's like, can I buy you girls a drink? I am extremely creeped out at this point, and I'm like, no, but my friend wanted a free drink, so she was like, okay, so she walks over, and I kind of step to the side, I have a weird feeling. So anyway, she's getting a drink and I'm watching him like a hawk because I'm like, what if he's like trying to do something to her? So he gets her a drink and then he turns over to me and her and he goes, you don't know who I am, do you? And I go, no. And this dude takes up his mask and it's the same guy. Sorry, part two. Part two of when I had a stalker. So we're at the rave, this guy looks at us and he goes, you don't know who I am, do you? And he has a mask on. He lifts his mask up and I am all of a sudden, my stomach just drops. I'm like scared at this point.
And my friend, she feels my tension, and I was trying to like non-verbally tell her we need to go because it was really, really scary. So we just kind of like, I grab her, I'm like, hey, let's get out of here. I kind of explain it to her, and she kind of gets really freaked out. We're both a little scared, but we're still trying to enjoy our night, and we walk away. So at the rave, I was taking care of my friend a little, and you know, she was having a good time. Anyway, so I was pulling her through the crowd, and all of a sudden I see a hand come out of the crowd and try to grab her. I see it and I yank her. And I look back, and guess who it is? It's the guy, and he goes, come back. And I say, no. I have my friend, I'm like, no. And at this point, we are both so scared. Like, this guy is really freaking us out. And we were trying to find her cousins who had come with us because they were guys, but you know, in a rave, everybody kind of gets lost. It's kind of hard to find people. Stuff happens. So we go up to like, there's like this upper deck area of the rave that we kind of were like, let's go up here. Like, you know, there's a lot of people. We just felt like it was a little more secluded. So I'm sitting at the railway looking over the concert. There's a girl next to me. I'm feeling a little better, you know, but like I was already shook up. The girl next to me walks away, so there's an opening. The guy walks up and stands next to me. And I'm like, oh my God. He looks at me and he goes, I don't understand what I'm doing to you, but I'm just trying to be your friend. And I'm like, I don't want to be friends. I don't want to be friends. And he goes, why? I didn't do anything to you. And I'm like, you're scaring me. You're freaking me out. Like, I can't, this isn't good. Like, I'm like, you need to leave me alone. And I'm just like trying to be as like basically cut and dry as possible. I'm like, leave me alone. And finally he's like, okay, fine. And he like walks off, and I see him standing kind of near in the area, still watching me and my friend. So at this point, I think he finally starts to leave us alone, and her cousins ended up showing up, and then he all of a sudden vanishes. Sadly, the story doesn't end there, but I could make a whole series on this guy. But if you enjoy this, for part 3. Part 3 of When I Had a Stalker. So after all the 2 really scary encounters I had with this guy, I went back to work, and to give you some context, I was doing bottle service at the time, so he did know where I worked at. And on this one particular night, I was chosen to bartend the welcome bar. So basically it's a setup at the front of the club. It's like a bar essentially when you walk in the door. And the club I worked at the time, they had pretty good security. Like, a security guard would be posted with like most people, and I had my own security guard. So I was standing at the front door, and you can kind of see the line out front of like people coming in. And I look out, and guess who I see? So I see him standing in line. My heart drops. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so scared. And I turn over to my security guard and I say, hey, do you see that guy? I point him out to him, and he goes, yeah. And I tell him, I'm like, that guy scares me. Right now he's not engaging in me, but if he comes up to me and says a single word to me, I want you to kick him out. And he goes, okay, no problem. So at this point, I'm like really grateful I at least have a security guard on my side, and he's like there to protect me. So we're standing there, the guy hasn't even looked at me, he hasn't talked to me, and I'm kind of like calming down a little bit. I'm like, maybe he's over it, you know, like hopefully. And right as I'm kind of getting like comfortable, a fight breaks out, and my security guard has to leave me for like just a little bit. So I get a little scared, but I'm kind of like calmed down because I'm in a really crowded place. I have like customers in front of me I'm talking to, so I'm not super worried. And then all of a sudden, while my security guard is gone, I'm standing at the bar making drinks, and I see the guy start trying to walk on the side of my bar to walk behind the bar where I'm working. So I get so scared that I'm sitting there shaking, and I'm kind of just trying to ignore him, and he's like saying, Whitney, trying to get my attention, and he keeps walking closer and closer to me behind the bar, to the point where I can't even focus. I'm trying to just talk to the people in front of me, and I'm praying my security guard comes back. So I'm just honestly at this point not even trying to make eye contact with him. I'm so scared. I'm like spilling drinks in front of customers. I think they kind of understood, like people were standing in front of me, they could tell I was scared. So the guy is pretty close to me at this point, and my security guard, thank God, comes back. And my security guard goes, dude, what are you doing behind the bar? Get out, you're 86, you're done. Like, you're not supposed to be behind the bar. So they kick him out, and this dude has the audacity to stand out front and say, I'm Whitney's friend. I know Whitney. And the security guards go, she doesn't want to be your friend, buddy. You need to leave. Until this day, I still don't know that guy's name.
Get ready with me while I tell you the story of how I found out I had a stalker. I figured enough time has passed that it's okay to talk about now, so buckle up, y'all are in for a wild ride. So as y'all know, I'm a singer-songwriter and I'm originally from Boerne, Texas, which is a little town right outside San Antonio. My family and I were friends with a few of the mom and pop shops down there, and oftentimes I would go and sing for them. Everything from like restaurants to furniture stores. It was like, you know, small town vibes. One day, one of the stores asked me if I wanted to play, and of course I said yes. However, the date fell on a weekend where I was supposed to be going like an hour and a half away for a family reunion. And my parents always go to shows with me. They pretty much always have. And they were like, well, we won't be able to go to this show with you, so I don't know if you still want to do it. So even though it made them kind of uncomfortable, I was like, you know, it's fine. This is Boerne. Nothing bad happens in Boerne. It's all fine. I'll just go alone. You know, I know the store owner. And that, as you can tell, was my first mistake. I just thought it was a quick, easy hour and a half little set in my hometown. So the day comes, I grab all my stuff because I have to go set everything up. This is just a little solo acoustic show back in the day. So I get there early and I'm setting up, you know, vibing, doing my thing. So they have a little patio area set up for me, ready to play, and I notice that a guy walks in and he just kind of sits down and just looks at me. I don't really think much of it. I mean, I too would look at a musician setting up their equipment. So I finished setting up and I was supposed to play at 7, but the owner was like, you know what, let's wait for some more people to get here. Let's just do like, I don't know, 7:15, 7:30. And that random guy is still sitting there staring at me while I set up, but I still don't really think too much of it. 7 o'clock comes and this guy actually comes up to me and no hi, nothing. He just goes, aren't you supposed to start singing at 7? I was like, oh, hi. The owner said I could, you know, start at 7:15 or 7:30. And this guy just deadpan looks at me and he goes, you're supposed to be starting at 7. I was like, again, the owner said that I could, you know, start at 7:15. And he's like, no, you need to start now. And I was like, dude, who are you? Like, what is happening? And he just starts getting like visibly angry. And it's like, you need to hurry up. Like, you need to get it together. Starts yelling, you know, basically just repeating the same thing over and over again, that I need to hurry up. And at this point in time, there's no one around. I was the only one kind of out there. And he just starts screaming at me. So I'm like, okay, this guy is clearly unhinged. I just need to remove myself from the situation. Actually, okay, I'll just run to the bathroom. So the bathroom is inside, you know, where everybody else is. So that's a good place for me to be. Unfortunately, I had to go past him to get to the bathroom. So I just literally like break out in a sprint. And what does he do? You guessed it. He sprints after me. I get into the store, run into the bathroom, slam the door shut, and then like push my body weight against the door and kind of like eyeball around the room for like any sort of thing I could use like as a weapon. But also in the back of my mind, just hoping that the store owner heard this commotion and is just gonna call the cops. And this guy is literally trying to break the door down. I'm having to really push like all my weight on this door. So after a little bit, he finally gives up or something happens. That part is still kind of unclear to me why he stopped. And the store owner kind of yells through the door. He's like, hi, I called the cops. Everything's gonna be all right. I was like, thank the Lord. And I kind of just chilled there for a little bit to just kind of regather myself. So the cops come, they get there within like 10 minutes, okay? Small town stuff. They took the guy outside and he's of course acting a lot more calm for them. They quickly asked him some questions, did a little investigation, and were able to piece together what happened fairly quickly. What me and the store owner failed to notice was that this guy actually brought in a backpack with him. I didn't see it once, but I was also, you know, fleeing for my life sort of thing. And in his backpack there were knives, there was rope, and there was a legit stack, like this big, of pictures of me. What they gathered is that he had been following me for a long time on social media and apparently was a large fan of me. I will never know for sure, but y'all can probably infer what our meeting was gonna go like. So he had taken an Uber there, and I'm not entirely sure what his plan was after that. We never really got an answer, but they pretty much had to escort him
back onto the highway in another Uber. Of course, I filed a police report, but they couldn't charge him with anything because he technically didn't do anything illegal. That is crazy to me, but I guess it makes sense. Doesn't matter what he had in mind, he technically didn't do anything. Got done filing my police report and I still had to sing. I said, you know what, show must go on. I toughed it out, finished the gig, got into my car and cried the whole hour and a half to my family reunion. And that was the last gig that I ever attended by myself. All this to say, please stay vigilant and be aware of your surroundings all the time, because you truly never know, and there are some crazy ass people out there.
My stalker of 6 years tried to unalive me on my birthday, so in honor of that coming up, let's go down memory lane of some of our best moments together. One time when I was getting surgery on my gums, he tried breaking into the surgery room, and then he wasn't allowed in, obviously, and then my mom and I, after the surgery, ended up being stuck with him in an elevator. I had a dance competition in Vancouver. I was living in Kelowna at the time, so that's like 4 hours away. And he had found out about said dance competition and tried breaking into our hotel rooms and had the front desk call saying that they were staying in our room, and he wasn't. And then we weren't allowed to leave our rooms. One of the last weeks of high school, he decided to show up to the school and went searching around all the classrooms looking for me, and then the school had to go in lockdown. My house was at the top of a mountain that overlooked a city, but it was very visible from the bottom, and he had a telescope and would watch me through the telescope up into my house. When the police were finally able to get a search warrant, they went through his house and his bedroom, and they found over 100,000 photos of me in compromising states. He paid someone $20 to throw me up and pin me against a locker so that he could talk to me. And the person took the money, and I was pinned against the locker. And then for my birthday, this sweet man had wrapped a knife in a t-shirt and told everyone around me that he had a gift for me for my birthday and that I needed to meet him outside where the trash cans are, which is where there was no security cameras. And then they later found a note of his plan, which was to me.
Okay, so this is a story about how I got a job at the beauty supply store, and me and the owner/boss ended up in court under some very crazy circumstances in regards to his actions. But let's get it. So this was about 6 years ago, 5 years ago, somewhere around there. Anyway, let's get to the point. So I used to frequent this beauty store all of the time because it was around the corner from my then home. And mind you, I already had a job at the time, and I was straight. But every single time I would go into this store, he would offer me a job, and I would always be like, no, that's okay. You know, I'm already working, whatever. So one day, I go in there like normal, getting my little lashes or whatever. And he was like, why don't you come work for me? You know, he's short-handed, this and that. And I don't know, I guess I was feeling like 2 jobs shawty that day because I was like, all right, let's do it. So I fill out the little paper application. I don't even think he looked at that shit, but I got hired on the spot. So I start coming to work, and this was the first sign that something was off about him. We got our paychecks, right? Mind you, the pay is very minimal, which is another reason why I didn't want to take on the job, because I didn't feel like it was worth my time. I got my paycheck, and he overpaid me like hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. I was not complaining. I did not question it. Who would? But that was the first thing. I was like, all right, he's on some other shit, which I feel like I kind of already knew deep down. But boom, so that happens. I keep on working. And one day my phone got cracked, right? And he was like, oh, your phone's cracked, you know, whatever. So this was when the iPhone 11s had, I think it was 11s or 12s, had first came out, right? So he comes in and he buys me a brand new Pro Max. And it's like this olive green color. I think the man spent like $2,500 on it. I don't know. But I feel like this is where I went wrong. I accepted that gift. I accepted it. I knew. Okay, y'all, it is a whole new day. So back to where I was at. Where I feel like I went wrong was accepting that gift, because I tried to listen to him, and he was like on some shit where it's like, okay, well, I need to be able to reach you for work, and your phone's messed up, it's all cracked. So I tried to lie to myself and tell myself that he was just being a nice guy, but deep down I knew, and that's where I can take accountability. Like, I should not have accepted that. But I did not know at the time that this man was really, really, really sick in the head. So by me accepting that gift, in his head, it was like, she's mine. And yeah, so, okay, y'all, we get back to work. I just start peeping this man doing like some really strange stuff. For example, he would go in the bathroom, take a big shit, then he would cook rice in the bathroom, and then he would eat the rice in the bathroom where he just took a shit. Literally the definition of shit where you eat. He was shit where he eat. That's rule number 1. But anyway, so y'all, yeah, that, and then he was like sleeping on a cot in the wig room, coming out head all messed up and shit. Just weird activities. Then he starts with that stuff where he's walking behind the counter trying to fake scrape up against me, rub up against me, like, oops, my bad. Nah, not your bad, you meant to do that. So y'all, let's get to the very weird shit. So one night, I'm at home chilling. For those of you who don't know, I sell products. I make them myself. I sell them. Okay, my neighbor always bought a specific product for me. She got off work late, 12:30 at night. I run outside to her car when she got home, sold her a product. This man starts blowing my phone up. Talk about the phone was smoking. And I didn't answer, of course. So he texts me, and in this text, it said, you cannot come back to work tomorrow because I just saw you sell something to describe my neighbor to a T. Described in a silver Honda Civic to a T, which meant this man was outside of my house, fuck that earring, watching me. He was outside of my house watching me. Mind you, he did not know where. Okay, y'all, I'm going to try to make this as quick as possible. I'm on break, but like I said, I found out that he was watching me. Y'all, please do not judge me, but I ended up going into work the next day. I was young, y'all. I was young, and I had been giving up all my shifts because I was making such good money at this place. And I was a single mother, and I have bills to pay. Again, I should have never went back. You know, we live and we learn. So I go in the next day, and thank goodness he was not there. My co-worker, Jessica, was there. So Jessica ends up going home early. As Jessica is going out, he is coming in. My heart literally dropped. But he was actually acting like nothing ever happened. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to just play it cool. I'm not going to say anything. So I'm working. He comes up behind the counter and he's like, do you want to go to dinner with me? I'm about to close the store early. Delusional, y'all. And I said, I'm sorry, I can't. I just made something up because I know at this point this man is crazy. So I just made something up. And y'all, something in me said, leave. Something in me told me to get out of there. So I said, listen, Bob, I'm gonna have to go. I am sick to my stomach. I feel like I've got to throw up. Like, I need to go. And so he says that he needs to leave too. And he's shutting the store down. So he starts cutting off all the lights, which is normal procedure, and he goes to lock up the door. Normal procedure, because you have to count down the cash in the registers. Y'all, he comes up behind the counter. I had on a zip-up shirt similar to this one. He ripped my shirt open and said something so sickening to me, and he tried to assault me. I then proceeded to kick him into a hair rack. I got him off of me and I ran. And y'all, thank God he kept those keys in that door. Had he not, I would have been locked in that store. And it does not end here. It gets worse and worse. But thank God I escaped that attempted assault. So, and I'll come back with a part 3, y'all. I've got to go back to work. Okay, y'all, this is part 3 of my ex-boss turned stalker turned worst nightmare. So, I got some messages asking me if I could go a little bit more into detail. I have been through some crazy shit, so I don't mind doing that. Basically, when the attempted assault happened, there was behind the cash register, there was a little corner like this. When he came behind there, he cornered me into that corner. He ripped my shirt down and he said these exact words: "Me so horny, me no have sex into ya." Anyway, moving along. By the grace of God, keys were in the door. By the grace of God, it was not my 18-year-old coworker, and it was somebody like me that had been through some things and was able to fend for myself. But let's move along. I go straight to the police department. I press charges. Showed them like phone evidence, all the things. I go home, go to sleep. Next day, wake up, go to work, to my real job. After work, my then best friend came and stayed the night with me. She was there for emotional support, all the things. So everyone around the area knew to be on the lookout, Bolo, for this man's vehicle. They knew what he looked like. They knew what his car looked like, as well as my best friend. So it was like a white BMW SUV type situation. My best friend goes outside to get something out of her car. She comes shooting back through the door. She says, "Drea, that man is outside your house watching." I was like, "You're lying." And peep out, he's out there. He's watching. He's bold, baby. He's bold. He didn't get arrested, by the way. So we call the cops. Cops come, 2 male officers come in. We're telling them everything. My friend is still so shook up. We're telling them everything. And one of the men knew Bob. They were family members maybe, or close friends, don't know. But when he found out, he was like, "Bob? You mean Bob Lee?" "Yes." "The one that owns the hair?" "Yes." After that, he disregarded everything I fucking said. He didn't take anything that I said seriously. And the cop that was with him followed the lead, baby. And they left. They just left us there defenseless. Bob still just riding around, terrorizing, doing what Bob does. So, time goes on, the harassment. Okay, like I was saying, the harassment continued, the phone harassment continued, the text harassment continued. It was getting crazier and crazier. I did not feel safe in my own home. The police were doing nothing because apparently everybody knew Bob. And The text said stuff along the lines of, you're mine, you're forever gonna be mine, you're always gonna be mine, I better not ever see you with nobody else. Like, when I tell you the most craziest shit, thousands of texts that I had printed out ready for court. One day, y'all, broad daylight, 8 o'clock in the morning, somebody's beating my door down. Mind you, I had a metal screen door at that house, beating that down. I get up, I run to the door. Y'all, it was him. It was Bob. Broad daylight. Bold. Called the police. They come. By the time they get there, he's gone. Again, nothing was done. So, y'all, my cousin, if anybody knows my cousin, Julian, they know that he's local and he ain't going. So, he comes and starts staying the night just so I feel safe in my own home. So, yeah, but this man didn't care, y'all. I mean, he just did not care. Nothing shook him. I mean, he felt invincible, 10 foot tall and bulletproof. I give him that. He was not scared of nothing. So, court is approaching now. Court's approaching. I got all my ducks in a row. I got every single text, every single time that he has pulled up, all that shit printed out. I am ready. And I wanted to let y'all know that part 4 is going to be coming a lot sooner. I'm off work tomorrow, out of school, so I'm going to be recording that hopefully today, but it's going to be up a lot sooner. And I appreciate all the women who commented, supported me, but under that first video, those comments, some of those comments from women, I mean, didn't surprise me at all, but it was also very sad. Luckily, I have tough skin and love myself, but do better. You know what I'm saying? Do better. This is nothing compared to what I've been through. I could really tell y'all some real shit and how I overcame it that would really help a lot of women. So instead of focusing on this, just focus on the shit that's coming out of my mouth. If I wanted to draw my lip liner to my eyelids, then that's what I'm a motherfucking do. Now stay tuned, because it gets crazier. Love y'all. This is part 4 to my ex-boss turned stalker turned worst nightmare. So court is approaching. I have all my ducks in a row. And when I mean in a row, I mean lined up, baby. I have everything. I have every single text this man has ever sent me. I have documented every time he's pulled up at my home. I had everything. And I want y'all to know that attempted assault was on camera. But it was on Bob's camera. So somehow it mysteriously was never resurfaced. But the court date comes. And I go in with my thick ass folder and I'm ready. You know, it's my time to shine. Like, I've been looking over my shoulder too long. Like, I'm ready. And this was not a case where, like, there were lawyers involved or anything like that. It was like, I don't know, y'all will see what I'm talking about. So my friend goes with me for support. The judge calls my name and I go up to the little podium thing that's in the middle of the courtroom, and I start presenting to him my evidence, my case, and I'm telling him about what happened that night of the attempted assault. I start telling him about the stalking, and before I can say anything else, he cut me off, and he said, dismissed. Your case is dismissed. I'm talking about rude, ugly. Just the way he was looking at me, y'all. The way he was looking at me, I'll never forget. I've gotten that look many times. But, yeah. So, case was dismissed. I was in shock. And I was like, but sir, like, I have the Dismissed. I said it's dismissed, ma'am. So I close my little folder and I take my dismissed ass on going towards them double doors. In that moment, I felt like I did not matter. Best way to describe it, I felt like a piece of shit. That's how I felt. But before I could even get to those double doors, I hear a lady call my name, first and last name. She was in the little corner room of the court. It's like a little corner and a little room up in there. She calls me in there. She closed the door. I sat down. Y'all, this lady had tears in her eyes. She worked for the court. Anyway, she had tears in her eyes, and she said word for word, I am so sorry. I cannot believe what I just witnessed in that courtroom. I have never saw so-and-so judge act like that. I want to see your evidence. I gave her the folder. She opens it. I see that she's going through all of the printouts of the text messages. Y'all, tears started rolling down her cheeks, like actual tears. She said, I have never, in my 20 whatever years of doing this, I have never saw anything like this. I have never saw text messages like this. I've never saw anything like this. Like, I'm genuinely scared for you. She said, we are not going to let this go. Like, I don't know what just went on in there, but she knew it was something. Something was fishy, you know. So she said, let me ask you something. Do you want to go further with this? She said, I'm not willing to let it go. And I'm like, I'm with you. I mean, yeah. So she told me to follow her. I follow her. And it's like we all the way back to step one, y'all. I start filling out a report on everything that happened to me. And in this moment, I'm feeling very much exhausted. I'm feeling exhausted. But I'm just like, no, I'm just not going to let this go. But guess what, y'all? Unfortunately, it was dismissed. Everything was dismissed. I never got any justice for myself. So as I was saying, I didn't get any justice. I had to move on. I had to keep it moving. I healed from the situation, moved on to bigger and better things, you know? Can't stay stuck on the shit. Keep it moving. So y'all, and as far as the store, that store ended up closing down. I heard the roof caved in. He lost all business, blah, blah, blah. So y'all, let's get to it. About 10 months ago, I get a letter in the mail. Open it. It is a subpoena. They want me to come to court to testify about the things that he did to me, but not in my honor, to be a Me Too girl. Because guess what? He did it again. He got another victim, y'all. But I think he did much worse to her. Yeah, had they taken my case seriously, he wouldn't have been able to victimize anyone else. But I don't know. This girl mattered. She mattered to the people in the court. Of course she matters, but she mattered to them. So I don't know. Maybe she looked a little different. Maybe her family was someone that the courts knew, but for whatever reason, they just took her case a lot more serious than mine. I still have not been to court for that situation. I guess it keeps getting pushed and pushed. I don't know. But, so we'll end it there. I don't know if it got thrown out. Like, I really don't know. But, okay, update on him. He ended up being married, having a wife and a kid, and like 3 cities away from here, and he has since opened up another beauty supply store down here in a different location. So that's the last that I've heard of him, and I do not care to ever see nor hear from him ever again in life. And I pray for the other victim. You know, I pray for her. You know, I don't know who she is, but I pray for her. So yeah, y'all, I mean, I appreciate everybody who wrote, supported me. If y'all have any questions, drop them below and I will answer them. And yeah, if y'all want to hear more like real life shit, y'all follow your girl. Love y'all.